You're listening to the Colts Blue Zone Podcast with Mike Chappell and Dave Griffiths.
Thanks for listening to the Colts Blue Zone Podcast. I'm Matt Adams. Mike Chappell is out. We'll hear from Dave Griffiths and some Colts players in just a few minutes. First order of business, cornerback Isaiah Rodgers has been suspended indefinitely and is expected to miss the entirety of the 2023 season, the NFL announced. But there was a surprise here. He's not the only Colts player facing a suspension. Rashod Berry is also suspended indefinitely for gambling. The Colts signed Berry to the active roster from the Jaguars practice squad in January 2023, initially signed as a free agent with the Patriots in April 2020. That's not the end of the bad news for Isaiah Rodgers and Rashod Berry. The team announcing in a corresponding move pretty much as soon as the NFL announced these suspensions. The Colts announced today that they have waived both defensive end Rashod Berry and cornerback Isaiah Rodgers Sr. According to a statement from Colts general manager Chris Ballard, we've made the following roster moves as a consequence of the determination that these players violated the league's gambling policy. The integrity of the game is of the utmost importance. As an organization, we will continue to educate our players, coaches, and staff on the policies in place and the significant consequences that may occur with violations. A third player, a free agent, Demetrius Taylor, out of Appalachian State, is also suspended indefinitely. All three suspended specifically for betting on NFL games. So we kind of know that if you bet on NFL games and the league finds out about it, you're going to be suspended indefinitely. Now, a fourth player from the Tennessee Titans, Nicholas Petit-Frere, is an offensive tackle. He was suspended 6 games, but the league specifically said that he bet on non-NFL games, or non-NFL sports, I should say, at a club facility. So if you bet on the NFL and the league finds out about it, it is an indefinite suspension, likely a year. If you're caught betting on a non-NFL sport, baseball, basketball, whatever, but you do it on a team facility, on a team plane, something like that, then you'll get a 6-game suspension if the league finds out about it. Now, as far as Rodgers go and Berry and Taylor, they can petition for reinstatement at the end of 2023. We saw that with Calvin Ridley, who was traded to the Jaguars from the Falcons. He was suspended after it was found that he bet on games, and then he was reinstated this season after serving a 1-year suspension. So a similar process should play out with Rodgers and the other 2 players. Now, according to a report from sportshandle.com, Rodgers was involved in pervasive betting that included NFL games and specifically Indianapolis Colts games. The report said Rodgers opened a sportsbook account under an associate's name, placed about 100 bets, most of them being small in nature, but there was at least one that was a 4-figure wager, according to that report. Rodgers has admitted to the betting. He said in a statement on social media that he took full responsibility for his actions. The Colts picked Rodgers in the 6th round of the 2020 draft. He broke out as a kick returner and became kind of a playmaker in the secondary. He had aspirations to become a starter this season. With their youth and depth at that position, a lack of depth, he was looking that he would play a big role there until these gambling allegations came out. We covered those extensively in a podcast a couple weeks ago. In April, the NFL handed down indefinite suspensions to 2 Lions players and a Commanders player for betting on games in 2022. 2 other Lions players were suspended for 6 games for violating the gambling policy. So finally, official word from the NFL on Isaiah Rodgers, an indefinite suspension for him for violating the league's gambling policy. And then on top of that suspension, the Colts have waived him, meaning that he is no longer with the team and will have to wait until next season to play, and that is after he applies for reinstatement and if that is granted by the league. Now, we also have some word from the Indianapolis Colts themselves this week. Training camp dates are now announced. The team will kick things off on July 26th at Grand Park Sports Campus in Westfield. It is free to attend, but you'll need to get your tickets at colts.com/camp. They have sort of some of their activities and the dates and all that stuff on that website. Activities will include the Colts Play 60 field with football drills and punt returns, so you can kind of see how you might perform out on the field. The Colts in Motion interactive traveling experience, Blue the mascot, Colts cheerleaders, all kinds of activities there for the family. Again, admission is free, but you do need to get tickets in order to enter. There will be 13 total practices open to the public. public. They will include 4 evening practices. Camp ends with joint practices against the Bears on August 16th and 17th. They'll have a day off on the 18th before they play each other on August 19th. That's a Saturday at Lucas Oil Stadium. That will be the Colts' only home preseason game this year. So with that, I will toss it over to my colleague Dave Griffiths, and we'll hear from several Colts players on offense and defense, including Jonathan Taylor, Michael Pittman, Alec Pierce, Ryan Kelly, Zaire Franklin, Kenny Moore, and Dallis Flowers. Thanks, Dave.
Hey there, Colts fans. Thanks to Matt for starting us off there this week. Looking forward to getting up there to Westfield for another year at Grand Park. Training camp is always a blast up there. There's a lot to see. There's a lot to do for fans, and that's not necessarily the norm anymore across the NFL. So Colts fans should be grateful that the front office here, led by Chris Ballard, really believes in the value of having a public training camp so that fans can come out and they can interact with the players a little bit. They can build that bond and get ready for the season to come. So looking forward to that. That's going to be a blast, I'm sure. And we certainly hope to see Jonathan Taylor out there for training camp, unlike throughout this offseason after he had his ankle procedure/surgery way back in January. Has not participated in a practice since, so we fully expect him to be back at some time during training camp. When that is to be determined. Let's hear from Jonathan Taylor as Colts minicamp wrapped up. As for what he's planning, begin with what he's planning for this time off before training camp begins.
Definitely take the time, relax your mind. We were here for a few weeks, especially with new coaching staff, but we're still on. Get your mind right, get your mental right, because we got someone coming in here in September, and we got to be ready. We better be ready.
This is a new coaching staff, and this is a new offense. What strides were you able to see from your offense, not just in this week, but in all of the weeks of the OTA work that you guys have been putting in?
I think, number one, putting us in position to make explosive plays. You see a lot around the league now. Guys, offenses are very explosive. Offenses are putting up points, so I can see now, with the different schemes, he's putting us in positions for us to let our talents take over and make those explosive plays, which is going to be fun to watch.
How much growth have you seen from Anthony Richardson?
I've seen a lot of growth. Still very early, but you can see where he makes strides at. You can see where he struggles at, but you can see how he continuously works hard. You can't ask for anything more. You can't.
You never really played with a quarterback who can move on that level. What do you think that's going to do to defenses with you and Richardson together?
It's definitely going to put another eye out. It's definitely going to be in the scouting report. It's nothing that you can leave unnoticed, unaccounted for. If not, you'll definitely pay.
Has it been tough for you to stand on the sidelines here, or is this something that you know that you have to do?
Like you mentioned, it's tough, but you have to do it because you're not ready to be out there. So you want to be out there. You're doing everything in your power to inch closer and closer every single day. And I'm happy, though, because I'm seeing the strides that the team is making. So all that I want to do is be able to come in there and just help continue make those strides with the guys.
Go ahead.
Do you think you're close? Do you anticipate you'll be out there when training camp starts?
That's definitely the goal.
Okay.
JT, Zaire talked about how much fun you guys are having, how excited this is. How is the morale different from the end of the season last year to now installing this new offense?
When you talk about the end of the season last year, it's way better than that. And it's also because we've chosen to have that mindset of learn from it. But listen, this is a new season. It's a new you. It's a new team. It's a new staff. What are you going to do? How are you going to be remembered in 2023? I think that's the real motto and message.
How do you treat the next few weeks before you guys get to camp so that you are ready to hit the ground running in Westfield?
Number one, hit the quick reset button. You were here, a lot of football, a lot of new terms, a lot of new schemes, but then quickly turn that switch right back on and start preparing. What are you going to do? How are you going to gain that edge? What are you going to do to be 1% better from last year, 1% better from the previous day that you were just on the field or you were just in the weight room? Because when August comes, it's time to roll.
With Dalvin Cook's situation and Saquon and everything, does it feel like running backs are kind of fighting to be recognized for their value?
They definitely are, and it's sad. It sucks because a lot of positions do a lot for their team, but specifically speaking for the running back position, I can just speak firsthand. We do a lot, and you just want to be treated fairly, and not even treated fairly. You just want to be appreciated for what you bring to the team. It's never about yourself. It's about the team. So what do you bring to the team? So just seeing guys fight. You just hope that things work out for them. You see why guys, they request trades. They want They just want to feel valued by not only their coaches, their teammates, but the organization as well. And I think it's something you got to continue to do.
I mean, has it been, I don't know, daunting, but just taking note of this, I'm sure, watching from a distance, regardless of what happens with you, have you paid close attention to what's happening with some of these other running backs?
You definitely have to pay attention just so you know, okay, what type of space are you entering into? And you just hope, from the track record here, you hope that the things are being evaluated the right way. It's not just all about, it's all about the wins. You want to make sure at the end of the day you guys are winning games, you want to win championships. But it's a lot, I feel like it's a lot more with this organization. It's, what are you doing in the community? Are you trying to uplift the community? Are you trying to uplift your teammates? So you just hope that, the organization sees that value and everything that you're trying to provide, not only to the team, but also to the community.
That is Colts running back Jonathan Taylor trying to get a new contract at some point as he's entering the last year of his deal. You heard a couple of his thoughts, and we've discussed this together with Mike Chappell, with Matt Adams on a more normal podcast than you're getting this week, just about Taylor's value to the team, running back's value across the NFL. It's just not what it used to be, but Taylor's trying to prove that in many ways that he's still a value to the Colts organization. And his references to value to the team and value to the community. You really saw that with Kenny Moore a couple years ago as he was extended really before he broke out, but the front office, led by Chris Ballard, really believed in him, and he was extended, which doesn't usually happen, like I said, before he really had a breakout year, and he proved them right. Taylor's already broken out for sure. NFL leading rusher a couple years ago, but some differences with his injury. Again, we've talked about this. This is kind of why I understand. I would fully understand if the Colts did not extend Taylor. Mike Chappell believes it's going to get done, so we'll certainly throw his opinion out there. But there are a couple of differences here and there between Kenny and Taylor, of course. But I would not be surprised, I guess, if he's extended before camp. But I can certainly see the Colts' perspective not doing so, as I've said before. So that's one star offensive player looking for a contract this offseason. How about another? I'll get some brief discussion with Michael Pittman Jr., who was also held out of minicamp, working on an injury. So Michael Pittman Jr. after the Colts wrapped up minicamp.
So just keep progressing the right direction.
Is that tough for you to take it slow when everyone's out here and everyone's working?
Yeah, but I don't want to get in a situation to where I rush it back and then I'm dealing with it for all next year. I dealt with it for all of last year. I don't want to do it again.
How did it hinder you last year, do you think?
Well, I don't like to say that it hindered me because if I'm playing, I don't want them to play me like I'm hurt. So I'm not going to say that it hindered me in any way.
How have you seen this receiver room really take shape this offseason?
Yeah, no, we got a lot of young guys and a lot of guys that weren't here last year just showing up and coming in here and doing some very good things. So it's good to see a lot of new young guys just doing their thing.
How does that refresh this room, give it some extra energy?
Absolutely. We've added a lot of new guys, like I just said, and everybody just brings their own personality, and it's just cool to see the difference. So
who's the biggest personality besides yourself?
The biggest personality in there, probably Isaiah McKenzie. Yeah, so him.
You expect to be ready day one of camp with a hip?
Well, we don't have any type of timetable on it. I wish, I could say, hey, I'll be ready at this day at this time, but that's just not how it, that's just not how it goes.
What stands out to you the most about Richardson?
I would say how hard he works. He is on the clock 24/7. Every time that I'm trying to even talk to him, he's down, looking at his playbook, and I'm like, bro, chill out for 1 second. I'm trying to talk to you. So he's just on it 24/7.
I said this before with Shaquille Leonard. That was Michael Pittman Jr., by the way. I hate the no timetable thing because everyone has a timetable. You're just not telling us the timetable, and that's fine. You don't have to, but don't treat me like an idiot when you say there's no timetable. There is a timetable. You have a plan. You know when you want to get back. There's a day, and it's going to happen, or it's not going to happen. Just put it out there. It's fine. It doesn't matter if you hit it, you don't hit it. From my perspective, I don't know, but I'm just rambling. Anyway, no contract for Michael Pittman Jr. right now, and as we have also discussed on the pod. I wouldn't be surprised if he doesn't want a contract because he can certainly do better than he did last year under Matt Ryan. And if the Colts are offering him a deal, I'm sure that he thinks he can do better with a quarterback who can throw competently more than 10, 15 yards down the field, which the Colts really did not consistently have that last year. And to some fault of the quarterback, to some fault of the offensive line, to some fault of not having a running game with an injured Jonathan Taylor and the offensive line. But all that to say, both Michael Pittman Jr., Jonathan Taylor, still waiting to see if they will earn that contract this offseason from the Colts franchise. How about someone else in that wide receiver room, entering his second year with the Colts and second year in the NFL, Alec Pierce. Let's hear from him as minicamp wrapped up.
It's been good. It's been good getting settled in with new coaches, new players, new quarterback, all that. So, yeah, it's been a good offseason.
Pittman was saying how there's just so many young guys in the receiver room now, maybe a renewed energy. How are you feeling that?
Yeah, it's a good way to put it. Definitely, some new faces. We're very young, and, we just got – but then we did bring in some leaders, some older guys, experienced. So, yeah, we're just going to, just go out there and try and make plays, get better every day.
What have you told these rookies that you learned from your rookie season?
I think I really told them, one, make sure going into camp that you're just completely locked in on the plays. It's going to feel fast, and it's going to feel like, you might be a little confused out there, but you want to be, as comfortable as you can be with the playbook so that it doesn't really just you're not just confused on where to line up and what route to run. You want to be confident when you line up so that you can, obviously go out there and try to compete.
So how comfortable would you say you are with that playbook right now?
I'm very comfortable, I'd say. Definitely just being able to go out here in the spring and summer and work through it a little bit. Now I think I'm ready for camp.
Why is it important for you to go back to Glen Ellen and host a camp?
It's super important. I think it's super cool. It's at the field I grew up playing at. They got some new turf down in it now, but same location I grew up playing my first football league, Bill George Youth Football League. I was on the Glen Ellen Golden Eagles, so I'm super excited to go out there, give back to the community, and see who shows up.
How much confidence are you bringing into this season after your successes you had last year?
Yeah, I'd say a lot of confidence. I really want to just kind of continue to prove myself as a receiver, prove that I can do other things, be more versatile than I was last year.
Now trying to stay sharp, obviously, over the next 5 or 6 weeks before you come back from camp. I know that you and Anthony and Gardner are supposed to, all the receivers are supposed to come and throw with each other. How important is that time going to be to just continue to build toward this season with two quarterbacks that you're in your first year with there?
Super important. I think we see even out here at OTAs sometimes we'll be on just slightly different pages, and that's just something that comes with time and reps. So it's going to be very important for us this off season to get as much more comfortable as we can going into training camp, because that's really when you want to just nail it in and put the finishing touches on.
How do Gardner and Anthony both compare to quarterbacks you played with in the past?
It's a good question. Definitely a little bit different than last year. Last year we had the ultimate vet, Matt Ryan, and he was just a great leader. But he's a guy who'd been around. He'd been doing it for countless years, had a lot of success. And now we get young guys, and young guys do a little bit different things. We might have a little bit more mobility back there, run different types of plays. But I think Gardner and Anthony both have a little bit of that capability. So one might maybe more than the other, but yeah, they both can do that. Multiple things back there, a little bit of dual threat. So I think it's a little different. Kind of probably compares a little bit more to what I experienced in college with Desmond Ritter. So.
What do you think of just kind of the energy, the vibes Anthony brings, or he's kind of just he seems like he's always happy dancing out here?
Yeah, it's great. I love it. I'm just kind of the same. I like to play loose and just play free out there. And I like that he brings that energy because, keeps things loose out here, keeps things light.
It's a young cornerback group, too. How's that competition going between the receivers and those young DBs?
It's been going well. I think they had some good days these past couple. They might have got our number these last couple days maybe, but it's been back and forth battle this whole camp.
Thanks, Alex.
Yeah, those young DBs certainly did have the number of the Colts wide receivers during minicamp. It was just tough going for the offense those 2 days that the Colts had before they canceled the third day of minicamp, mandatory minicamp there in mid-June. So you say that, well, they're young DBs, so why didn't the wide receivers do better? And they have some experience. There's some factors, I think, on both sides. It's obviously a new offense and new quarterbacks throwing them the ball. So I think that might even things out when you look at the age and the experience of the wide receivers versus the age and the experience of the cornerbacks, who are just a little bit younger overall. So, and defense is usually ahead of this time of year anyway. So that's nothing super to be concerned with yet. Well, we'll see it during training camp how much you go back and forth and how much the offense grows. You would imagine with either Gardner Minshew or Anthony Richardson throwing them the ball. And the Colts certainly hope that Pierce can take a step forward this year. And he did show some explosiveness last year. Showed that he can get behind the defense when the quarterback can get him the ball. He's there to fight for it. And boy, he skies. It's fun to watch Pierce jump. And noticed that first last year in training camp up in Westfield. Those are the things you observe, during open practices, fully open practices, is like how guys are unique and special. It's hard with some positions, like it is. It's hard with running back just because no one's getting tackled, But with wide receiver, that's really a good fight between wide receivers and defensive backs. Like you could tell last year that Stephon Gilmore was just always in the right position, for example. And you could tell last year that Alec Pierce could just jump out of the gym, as the expression goes. So if you throw it up, and he's going to have a chance to get it for sure. That was Alec Pierce. What about Ryan Kelly, Colts center, back for another year in Indiana? Let's hear from him.
This is a place that people want to come to work every day. It's like you want to sit with your coaches at lunch, and you want to hang out with them, and you want to bullshit with them at the coffee maker, right? Those things, those little things that, like, in the off season you're not in pads. It's hard to, say, well, we do this better or whatever. But the little things you can build a team with now, I think we've done a great job of.
How is this offense different from last year's offense?
Yeah, there's a lot of similarities coming from Shane and Nick Sirianni were all with Frank, so there's definitely some crossover. But I think things will continue to keep changing. Obviously you get a guy like Anthony Richardson, and we knew that draft pick was going to change some things in the offense, but the guys have been really receptive to it, and it's been awesome to see everybody grow. I'm getting challenged because it's a new offense for me too, right? So it kind of keeps you young and on your toes, and I thought guys have done a great job so far, just learning things and things you can clean up. But I think the camaraderie and the brotherhood has certainly been the biggest part of this offseason.
You've been with plenty of quarterbacks. What makes Anthony Richardson different?
Yeah, I think the whole offense, I think that whole room. I'll start with Minshew because he was the first one that was here before when I got here, and I thought his just commanding leadership and his ability to go out there and just put it all on the line every day, I thought that was incredibly impressive. Still for a young guy in the league, and then obviously Anthony's been a little quiet, but that's to be expected. I'm sure his head's spinning a little bit, but certainly what he can do physically on and off the field has been great, and he's obviously taken a lot of responsibility, and that comes to that huddle, and so he's going to make mistakes, and I think you kind of look at how you respond from that, and he's done a great job so far. And then Sam has just been, he battles every day. And I respect that the most out of that guy.
Anthony's only 21. Is he showing his age?
Yeah, I think he turned 21 like 10 days before I turned 30, so not sure we're the same life goals, but it keeps me young too. And that's that's kind of what I think people have to remember is the guy's 21 years old. You don't step in and play like an all-pro right away. But I think his preparation and what he can do physically, that's why he's here. Obviously what he can do off the field, because I think he's learning that position comes with a lot of scrutiny, comes with a lot of responsibility. That's gonna that's something to learn over time.
Ryan, the team breaks now. Obviously, you'll come back together for training camp. Over your career, how have you learned that these next 5 or 6 weeks, you can't just completely let everything go out of your head, can you?
No, I think when we talked to the guys at the end, is like you definitely need to get away. It's 17 week season. It's a long season. So I was taking a vacation with my family. Get away, but the fine balance of working hard, making sure your body's correct, but also we just put all this work in for the last 3-4 months. Physically you're gonna have some rust to knock off when you get back at Grand Park, but how can we come back with the same mental focus that we left with as far as learning the offense, picking things up and playing 5 as one. I thought this group is going to do a great job of that.
Do you feel 30?
No, man. I feel 21. No, some days I feel 30. Sometimes I feel like I'm 19 again. So it's good about having a young team, man. Keeps you young.
What's it been like having Tony Sperano in the coaching spot here?
He's been great, man. That was, from day one he got in here. He said, I coach a little bit differently. I believe in having a relationship with players, and I thought that was my biggest thing for an offensive line coach coming into this, was how do you rebuild 5 guys to play together after the last couple of years have not gone our way. So from day one, that's what it's been about, man. That offensive line room, how sacred that is to come into that room and feel like, you can talk to your brothers about anything. And he's done a great job of that, and he's just been awesome, man. I mean, he demands the most out of you. He doesn't kill you. An individual, he's not going to turn this into a conditioning test. He wants you to get better at your craft. And I think the guys have really responded well to that.
Of course, I finally needed the beep in there for Ryan Kelly's interview. Just a quick one, though. And then he got back on the straight and narrow, so to speak. Kelly, I've always found it ironic the past couple years that when the Colts drafted Kelly and when Ryan Grigson drafted Ryan Kelly, that was finally stopping the center carousel in front of Andrew Luck when the Colts could not find a center his first couple years of his career to pair with him. You finally get Ryan Kelly, and then a couple years later, Andrew Luck is gone, and it's a carousel of quarterbacks behind Ryan Kelly as your consistent center. It's funny that it's not funny, if you're a Colts fan. Let's see. It's the same five right now as last year, and the Colts did not do anything to shore up a right guard position like all of us on the pod postulated they might if they wanted to go out and get a veteran guy. That was a starting position that was open, and it was a position group that had a lot of failures last year, to be perfectly honest. So it made sense to go out and get a veteran to plug in there and start next year. But Chris Ballard thought otherwise. And you can tell what the Colts and Chris Ballard thinks by what he does. And by what he did, the blame for last year went squarely on the shoulders of Chris Strasser, the offensive line coach, because he's the only one gone. Brought in a new one, Tony Sperano Jr., and the expectation there is he's going to right the ship. And it's not fully the player's fault for what happened. So we'll see. We will see if that is the case. Because 2 years ago, Carson Wentz was the scapegoat. And that was obviously not fully true. And I don't have anybody to argue against me with Carson Wentz right now. So I love it. I could just go on for the next 20. No, I'm not going to do that. Don't worry. I could. Absolutely could, but I will not. We've talked a lot about offense so far last week with the quarterbacks and with Shane Steichen. Let's go over to the defensive side of the ball. Captain Zaire Franklin speaking during mandatory minicamp earlier this month.
What have you kind of learned about the team this offseason?
I would just say, to be honest, we just having a lot of fun. I would just say, just the, energy in the building, energy at practice. I think that's just what it happens when you got a lot of young guys, a lot of guys who played together for a while too. So I think we just got a great group. To be honest, personally, I feel like I'm just really enjoying, the team, enjoying our time together. And I think, hopefully, that pays dividends, when it's time to put them pads on and, play real football. So.
What sticks out about Shane so far? Last time we talked to you was right after his introduction to Texas Pine.
I would just say his attention to detail. I feel like all the best coaches I've ever had, just were never willing to overlook a mistake, and I feel like that describes Shane in a nutshell. Whether that's offense, defense, special teams, he's all about not only just holding guys accountable, but bringing guys along with him, showing them that this is the standard, this is how we're going to play here, this is what we expect from you. And I think when you got a overarching standard of accountability, it's easy for everybody to live up to. It's easier for us as leaders to hold other guys accountable too. So I just feel like he's just doing a great job. Just setting that standard of accountability.
Tiger, with not that it's a silver lining with Shaq out, but more guys are getting more reps now, like EJ. So is it sort of accelerating EJ's development? The more reps he's getting?
Oh, no question. Obviously EJ's a great player, made a ton of great plays in his time here already. But just the time that me and him are getting to play together next to each other, just in case Shaq's not there or whatever, it's definitely paying dividends. And I always feel like too, just the more reps you can get it, the more comfortable you get, it just expands your game in a bunch of different levels too. So. And
he's taken the path to special teams, and then defense, and then really being a player.
Yeah.
So you see that similar path he's taken.
Oh, no question. Me and Speed was in the trenches together. We was going at it. We was battling a couple times, chasing each other for these tackles and stuff. But obviously, he's someone who's serious about his business, serious about his work ethic, the time he puts in, not only to, the playbook, but also to his body to get himself ready to play. Honestly, he puts it in just like myself, just as better than everybody else on the team. So I know he's going to be ready. Obviously, having him out there, he's a playmaker. Speed is just the type of guy. You put him on the field, great things happen. So obviously, I always look forward to playing with him.
We've asked you a ton over the last couple of years about the stress running quarterbacks put on you guys as a defense, but just looking at your own offense and JT and Griffiths that are there in the backfield, like if you had to play against them, what would you think against them?
Man, it's crazy because even just like doing the walkthrough against them is just, okay, when Five's in there, it's just, you just got to be aware. You know what I mean? It's just like a whole nother element to an offense that you don't necessarily have to think about with more of a traditional quarterback. And obviously with JT in there, I mean, JT the best running back in the league, period. So when he's on the field, just what he brings to the team, to the offense, them boys pushing. You know what I mean? And JT gonna find the hole, and he a home run hitter. So obviously with them two both back there, just that athleticism, that speed, that power, is definitely a problem for opposing offenses, not us. I mean, opposing defense, not us. So.
Zaire, so many impression of Richards. I realize that amount of fun. Is there a presence, or do you feel like?
Man, I just feel like he's just a humble kid that's just really all about the grind. I feel like for him, he's just, soaking it all in. I think he's starting to get comfortable, starting to, enjoy himself, starting to let that personality show and all that other stuff. And I think you could tell, even on the plays, just when he started to get comfortable, he started to make them throws and stuff like that. I feel like you could definitely feel it starting to grow and starting to get better. Obviously, it's highs and lows and stuff, but, I mean, he's a good kid. We in the locker room arguing about different stuff, so it's all good.
What is his personality that you're seeing come through?
I mean, like I said, I feel like, he from Gainesville, so that's northern Florida, so, they a little country up there, so he got a little country in him, but he a good dude, man. That's, that's my guy. We go back and forth about a little bit because, I'm a trash talking about the offense now, but he a good kid, just putting that work in, trying to get better like everybody else.
Is there, I was just going to say, just going off of that, is there anything about him that surprises you or you wouldn't have thought before him coming in, and now that you see him around the building, what maybe jumps out?
To me, I mean, I don't know. I kind of came in with not that many expectations or, assumptions, I would say. But, I mean, I did see a clip of him dunking the basketball the other day, but I kind of pegged him for that. I'm kind of like, all right, you probably could do something crazy on the basketball court. I probably assumed that. But, so, yeah, I guess that was surprising, too. So.
See how much of your card is making him earn it, not being like an area where we talked about, like, everybody here to earn and keep it, and knowing the assets that are on him and getting him to that level.
I think that's just extremely important. I feel like not only just for our team, but in sports sometimes I feel like when you sometimes when you draft a guy with expectations and you want to believe and you want to, I don't know, I guess believe in him so much that he becomes the type of player that you want him to be. But the reality of it is there's no substitute for hard work. And I think, just kind of having Anthony in a situation, or even all our young guys in a situation where they got to come in and earn their spot on the field. They got to come in and it's the NFL. You eat what you kill. You get what I'm saying? So I feel like just having guys in that situation just puts them in the best position to be successful long-term in their career, because I feel like a lot of times a young guy could come in and you'll just give him something, and all of a sudden he'll start to assume that things are going to be given to him throughout his career, and it ain't going to work like that. You're going to have to take this stuff. You're going to have to take greatness. You're going to have to take these titles. You're going to have to take these wins, these Pro Bowl, these All-Pros. Ain't nobody just going to get that to you. So I think that starts in the building. That starts from day one. And I think we do a great job in this building of, holding our young guys accountable and making sure they earn everything they get.
Zaire, once you guys break from the complex, you'll have about 5 weeks or so. How do you strike that balance between continuing to train and be where you need to be come camp, but also getting refreshed, getting recharged, because it has been kind of tumultuous last 9-10 months?
Oh, of course. Yeah, I'm a little bit of a workaholic. I kind of like, in my back of my mind, even, if I'm doing community service or something, I'm still thinking like, man, I probably should just get a run in tonight or something. You know what I mean? But I think it's good, just spending that time with your family, just because, once it's on, it's on. Once we get back to training camp, it ain't no flipping that switch the other way. So definitely got to take that time, that, much needed time to spend it with my family, my friends. Enjoy that time at home while I can. But, once we get back, it's go time, get ready for Jacksonville.
you always get good info from Zaire whenever he's on the microphone, and I love his expressions. The one that stuck out to me there was, "You eat what you kill," and basically meaning nothing's going to be given to you in this league. You have to go out and take it. You have to go out and kill it. And if there's any case where somebody starts giving you something, that's just hurting you in the future. I think it was a longtime defensive coordinator in the NFL, Greg Williams, who said on Hard Knocks one time, "Those who have enabled you in your past have disabled you for your future," when he was making an emphatic point to some of his young linebackers. I believe it was the Rams season on Hard Knocks a couple years back. So anyway, that's kind of just the same idea. You eat what you kill. Things should not be given to you in the NFL because if somebody has enabled you, just kind of eased you along, that's hurting an NFL player for what comes on Sundays for 18 straight weeks or 17 out of 18 weeks throughout the season. So Zaire and a lot of people, when Shane Steichen, when people ask about what's different under Shane Steichen, accountability comes up all the time, over and over and over again. It is obviously something that he is stricter at than Frank Reich was, or he is different in holding players accountable than Frank Reich was, because that's what keeps coming up when players are asked about, tell me about Shane Steichen, what's he like? Well, accountability, boy, he's on you. Like, if you make a mistake, then he or the coaching staff is not going to just let it slide, not going to just let it go. Also, the discussion about Anthony Richardson being from Gainesville, which is country, from Zaire Franklin. All y'all here might not know, because I've had this discussion in the sports office, because this sound came up, this quote came up about, is Gainesville really the country? There are lots of different types of country. For those who are unaware, and Gainesville is a swamp country or a backwoods country, a little bit of both there. There's southern farm country, there's Texas is its own world, Texas country, but there's the farm country and there's the swamp country and there's the woods country, and they're kind of different. They hold little things different, and the swamp country is a real thing. And so anyway, that's my spiel about different types of country. Or at least my 2-second spiel about different types of country. All right, that's Zaire Franklin. What about Kenny Moore, the veteran of the cornerback group now? Let's hear from Kenny at Colts Minicamp.
You got the same defense, a lot of the same players and coaches, but did you anticipate anything different about the scheme or the way you guys played this year?
Yeah, it'd be some additions from last year, but what I'm more excited about is for everybody to be in the second year inside the defense, to have that experience downs back in the the back of our head. So anything that happened, good or bad, we're able to build off of it. And as a coaching staff, they've just been tinkering a lot of stuff. So
one of those guys who's in their second year is Dallis Flowers. What's been your impression of him as a corner and how he's growing?
I like Dallis Flowers' aggression and the way he's able to gel with everybody in the room. So I think if you have the camaraderie and you have the togetherness and in your play, then it'll take you further along than just his skill. So he has a skill set to play, and that's why he plays. And very excited to play with Dallis.
A lot of investment in the young corners this offseason. Is there anything that's sticking out about any of these guys, whether it's Darius or Jalen so far?
Just a willing to learn. I think everything is so limited right now with reps and, being able to see somebody's true ability. But as training camp comes around, we'll see a lot of reps come together.
Julian was talking a little bit earlier last week about, he kind of shifted over to that first spot at the end of the year, so you kind of see things through your eyes a little bit more. Now that he's a strong safety, he feels like it's a good combination. Do you feel that chemistry will go with him as well?
I love to play with Julian Blackman. Having him, as an athlete, you got to put your pride aside in certain situations, and having a position like the nickel position, you got to have the back seat on a lot of things. A lot of things open up. Being an inside corner, a lot of things that open up where when things break down, it's going to seem like your fault, or you're going to feel like it's just you out there. So you just got to be steady, and you got to be steady each game, each practice, and you got to be willing to learn. And whether I was in his ear or Coach Milo's, he was willing to learn. And so I think that'll help him a lot when it comes to him playing strong safety. I'm liking his growth throughout his career, and I'm proud of him. So, as he embarks this strong safety position, I feel like him playing nickel at the end of the last season will help him out a lot.
This is your sixth, seventh field? This is my seventh field. Is that crazy? You think about it?
Crazy in what way?
Well, I mean, I remember when you got here, right? I mean, let's be honest, right? No one knew you to be here. And then just in terms of how far you've come and to last as long in this league, it's hard. And just, I think, contrasting when you started right now.
Good question. I think as a player where I come from and, not having much experience in college and obviously through everything that I've endured over my career, it takes a lot of hard work. And it's not the luck of the draw. It's not just so happened to happen. So you got to fight through a lot of stuff. And that's something that I value a lot about, sports in general, is everybody have their own story, and you got a choice to make whether you want to keep going or you want to stop. So I think every day you got a choice to make, and I'm just proud of myself that I'm able to make that choice every day to give it my all.
Ken, we knew this cornerback was going to be young. We know Isaiah Rodgers senior situation with the absence. How does that shift the leadership that you have to have in that room?
I think everything stays the same. It stays the same. We all walk as one, side by side, and we all have to have the energy each day, and the standard stays the same.
Have you spoken to Isaiah at all?
I have.
Just giving him words of encouragement or not?
I mean, same thing you would do if you had a brother that was going through something. You would give him a hand, and so you would tell him you would always be there for him. You would stay strong, and you would do all you can to make sure he perseveres.
Kenny, prior to minicamp and OTAs, you didn't get much time away from the facility. You were here quite a bit. Over the next few weeks before training camp, how do you treat that period of time between achieving the goals that you wanted to, working out, but then also getting refreshed and recharged to get back to work on training camp?
I'm just determined to get back to the work. Honestly, I'm excited for this season. So, and I have a lot to prove to myself as far as making a lot of plays for this team. So. I'm looking forward to winning some ball games and having some fun with the guys in the room and the rest of the team. So there's a lot to look forward to, and just hitting back off the off season and getting ready for training camp. This is the time where we'll all lock in more than we already were this off season. So I'm excited for all the hard work that'll be put into it, and we're gonna reap the benefits that we all put in. But we just gotta stay steady, one day at a time.
Kenny, you're somebody who's studied quarterbacks. You've picked off a bunch in your career. What stood out so far about Anthony?
I think it's still early right now to honestly just dissect his game. I think they're using him in a correct response of the system that they want to build on the offense. So. Just as willing to learn. He's sharp. Seeing him early in the morning when he's studying his notes, he wants it. And I think as a teammate, if you see another teammate, he wants it, and he wants to work hard, and he wants to be consistent. He wants to be, and he does it each day. You give him all the respect. So you just want to pat each other on the back and tell each other to keep going. However, you want to compete and make him miserable.
Yeah, that quote that stuck out for me from Kenny is, I have a lot to prove to myself. And that's true, and he has a lot to prove more than just to himself, to the league, really, after what happened last year, just not being the same playmaker he was before under Matt Eberflus's system. And I think we've discussed that a little bit. One thing we haven't really touched on that I've kind of been kicking around is I'm sure that Kenny, more than other players, was impacted by Shaquille Leonard not being in the lineup. And I say he's impacted more because they both play kind of on the inside of the field, not quite stretched outside. Kenny at the nickel cornerback and Shaq as the weak side linebacker. Certainly was the case in the old system under Eberflus that the middle of the field was so important. It was the three technique with Buckner, the will linebacker and Shaq, the nickel corner and Kenny. A lot of the action was just naturally flowed toward them, and so those three positions were just so important to have good players, and the Colts did. But still, like even without the system, a lot of work on the inside of the field is going to be taken between those three players, and even if it's not the specific system that was run. So if you don't have Shaquille Leonard in there and his playmaking ability, Kenny is going to be asked to do maybe a little bit more, or there's just some plays that are not going to be made that Shaquille could have made, that kind of just stand out there as plays that where you gave up a little bit more in the middle of the field than you meant to. So I don't know. That was just something that I was kicking around that I'd like to bring up with Chap and Matt sometime when we get back together here. Let's see. One more here. One more player. And that's Dallis Flowers, who's the de facto outside cornerback number 1 right now. Has only played 1 year in the NFL after being an undrafted rookie last season out of Pittsburgh State. Go Gorillas. But I spoke with him one-on-one a little bit at the end of that last Colts minicamp practice day. So here's me and Dallas.
What were you able to accomplish over these past 3 months now?
Over the past 3 months, really just learning the defense even more to like the best to the T. Running fast, flowing fast, playing with our brothers, and just getting better every day, challenging the offense and have the offense challenge us, and just come together as a defense to be like top defense in the league this year.
You have to come together with a bunch of young guys out there like you. There's all these rookies running around you. You only have a year of experience yourself.
Right.
What is it that you can offer them right now after just 1 year here in the league?
Just 1 year, second year into it, I could teach them the stuff that I was going through as a rookie and just be by their side and help each other. I can learn stuff from them. They can learn stuff from me. So just working together and just trying to get better day by day.
Seems like there's going to be a lot of opportunity for a lot of reps out there, especially with whatever's going to happen with Isaiah. And so how do you embrace that challenge and be ready to go come, I guess, day one in training camp?
Yes, Isaiah, that's our brother. We with him. We with him through whatever. We're there for him for sure. And just taking the opportunities that I get and just capitalize on them. Focus on me and just get better day by day, and everything going to pan out.
What about kick returns as well? I mean, it sounds like there's going to be some out there. Well, I mean, you and Isaiah were the two guys back there. Are you ready to shoulder the load there as well?
Definitely. I got a couple of them running back this year.
Yeah, he was strong at kick return a year ago for sure. Had some really exciting plays, and I don't know if he's going to be completely loosed as he was at the end of last year, taking it back from 7-8 yards deep. It was understandable why he did it then, because the offense couldn't do anything, to be perfectly honest. So maybe at the start of this year, if you're trying to just be a little bit more disciplined there, I wouldn't be surprised if Shane Steichen has put the reins on him and said, hey, don't take it out if you're that deep. Maybe if you reach, like last year when he took over, I don't know, week 14, week 15, whatever it was, and the Colts are, 3-11, then he'll be able to take it out from 7-8 yards deep, because what do you have to lose at that point? So we'll see. I'm eager to see if I'm right or if I'm wrong in that area. If maybe he shows just a little bit more restraint, at least to start off the season, when the offense is at least to be determined how good it is before you realize if it's a really good offense that doesn't need that kind of help, or a really bad offense that turns out it does need that help. And hey, punt returns too. You have no Isaiah Rodgers and no Nyheim Hines, no Kiki Kuti. So you could see him on punts too, on punt returns. That will probably be something that is up for grabs in camp. You might not want your number one cornerback to do kick returns, punt returns, and be your number one outside cornerback as well. But you might, if he's the most dynamic guy out there, if there's no one else to do it. You could have Isaiah McKenzie there as well for punt returns too, who the Colts brought over from the Bills. So yeah. That's what we had from Colts minicamp. You heard from the quarterbacks last week. If you haven't listened to that podcast, I encourage you to do so, and be sure to subscribe to us to get us delivered to your podcast listening device throughout the week. You can follow us on Twitter at Colts Blue Zone. Colts news and notes coming at you whenever you log on. I'm Dave Griffiths at DaveG_sports. Also, thanks to Matt Adams, as I said earlier, for getting us situated with the Colts training camp schedule before I hopped on. Matt is at Statomatty. And Mike Chappell at mchappell51. Check out all his work online at fox59.com, cbs4indy.com as well. We'll have some podcasts coming up in the next couple weeks for sure before training camp begins. But that's kind of a bow on minicamp and a bow on the off-season program. So hope you enjoyed it, and we'll see you as training camp gets ever closer later on the Colts Blue Zone podcast.